Hello, everybody. This is Jack from Fluency.com. I'm doing something a little bit new in this video. If you're watching the replay of this, know that I am recording this live. And I'm testing something on YouTube to see if I can do these live recordings. You'll see that there is a free download for this lesson. If you go to fluency.com/fast, you can get the free PDF. This is 7 tips to help you reach a high level of English. And this is a free download. All you need to do is enter your details and it will be sent to your email address. So what I'm going to quickly do is to get up all my analytics, see some of the questions on the YouTube live comments. So if you're watching this live, please interact. Please send me some messages on the little chat box to the right of the video. If you're watching the replay, put your messages below and I'll answer any questions that you have. So firstly, I'm going to answer a question from Joerk. And he asks, what time of day is best to learn English? So what time of day is best to learn English? This all depends on you and your situation. Now, I made a video which you can find on my YouTube channel where I talk about getting up early to study English, to create a morning routine that involves learning English. And the reason for this is that if you do something in the morning, then you're more likely to do it again later. You build momentum. If you learn English in the morning, then you're very likely to do it again later in the day. But also, because we're all so busy, you know, we're very busy these days. Everyone tells me that they're super busy. It means that you can find a time every day to learn English. So if you do it in the morning, you get up 20 minutes earlier, it means that every day you'll do something in English. And because you do it first thing in the day, it means that you don't have to wait till later. A lot of people, when they come home from work, they feel tired. When they come home from work, they don't want to do something. So doing it in the morning means that you'll definitely get this done. So thank you for that question. If you're here live, please ask more questions for me, and I'll be very happy to answer them for you. Now, today, I'm going to be talking about tip 1 for learning English. Okay, tip number 1. And this is all about the methods that you use to learn English. Okay, it's how you spend your time learning English, because there are so many things that we can do to help us reach a high level. We can go to traditional language schools and take language classes. We can move to the US for a couple of months and study English intensively, or we can take an intensive course for a couple of weeks. We can read grammar books. We can read short stories. We can watch TV in English. We can also try to learn new words and phrases, learn new idioms, watch videos like this. And it can get quite confusing about knowing exactly what to do. You know, how should I spend my time learning English? What should I do to learn English? Now, it's important to know that how you spend your time is vital. So how you spend your time learning English is important. You know, what you want to do is to spend your time wisely and become a really effective English learner. An English learner who is doing the right things in order to progress. Now, you're probably thinking, what are the right things? You know, what should I spend my time doing? And there are a couple of things to know here. Firstly, everyone is different. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. For example, I have some learners who they really need to work on their pronunciation. You know, they have really good grammar. They can form sentences. They use great vocabulary, but their pronunciation is difficult to understand. Therefore, these learners should spend time working on their pronunciation. Now, I have other learners who have great pronunciation, who sound like they're native speakers, but they have very limited vocabulary. Therefore, they should spend their time learning new vocabulary. Now, the second thing to know is that it's important to know that when you're learning English, a lot of the skills overlap. So if you're listening to a television show or watching a television show, you're learning new words and phrases. You're listening to the pronunciation and listening for how people speak in the correct way. You're also learning grammar too, because you're getting lots of examples of how to use grammar. So a lot of these methods overlap, okay? They overlap. So when you're watching TV, you're working on your general English. Now, another thing as well that I want to explain is that we need to get lots of input, okay? We need to get lots of input. We need to read things in English. We need to listen to things in English. We need to watch things in English too. This might mean listening to conversations, reading books, listening to podcasts. The more input you get, the better. Now, I surveyed my audience, those who follow me. Now, you can follow me by going to fluency.com/fast to get your free download. And from there, you're going to receive emails from me. One of the emails I sent out was asking people, how much time do you spend listening to English? Or how much time do you spend reading things in English? And on average, it was about 1 to 2 hours per week. Now, if you want to learn English fast, this is not enough. You have to do more. Now, tip number 2, which I'm going to record live again, probably tomorrow or next week. This talks about time, how to spend more time listening to English and doing things in English. And it's important that you work out how to find more time to do things, because time is such an important part of the fluency equation. But just know for now that getting lots of input is really going to help you. Now, a mistake I see people make is that they don't learn new words and phrases or grammar in context. Okay? They don't learn new words and phrases and grammar in context. Instead, they take word lists. They take idiom lists as well and try to memorize single words and idioms. And also they read a lot of grammar rules and practice their grammar through, grammar exercises and grammar books and those kinds of things. But this isn't learning English in context. And what I want you to do is to learn English in context, to learn new words and phrases from the stories that you read, to learn grammar from the shows that you watch. So to take the English and to learn these new words and phrases. Now, there are a couple of methods that I really recommend you use. But before I'm going to do that, I'm just going to jump into the comment section. So if you're watching live, please comment and ask me some questions. So we have Velvet who's here. Welcome to you. Manuel is saying hello. Jowork, is it useful to write short stories and why? Yeah, it's going back to your strengths and weaknesses. So if writing short story, or if you want to work on your writing and your English in general, then writing short stories is great. Write about what you want to talk about. Write about what interests you, the type of English that you're going to learn. And writing's really useful because you can take the time to think about what you're going to write. When you're speaking, you're in this interactive conversation. You have to think about your pronunciation. You need to think about what you're going to say very quickly. But when you're writing, you can take your time. You can look up new words and phrases. You can type sentences into Google to see if they are correct or not. So writing is a really good way to practice your English. I made a video about a tool that you can use to get feedback on your writing. So check that out in my videos. And then also try to get feedback on your writing too from a teacher or a friend. That's going to help you overcome the mistakes that you make. Velvet says, I am French and I need help for pronunciation. Yep, that's great. So it's good to be self-aware. Now, to be self-aware just means that you know what weaknesses that you have. So it's good to know this. It's good to know that the areas of English you need to improve. Sebastian says, hi, Jack. It's amazing seeing you live. It's great to have you here, Sebastian. You leave lots of comments on my videos, so it's really good. Please continue doing that. Martha says, hello. Hello to you, Martha. And Manuel has a question here. Why is it so difficult to understand TV series in English? Now, it's difficult because of a few reasons. When you watch a TV series, people are speaking, in most cases, faster than most people do during conversation. Okay, so people in TV series are speaking faster than most people do in normal conversation. I remember watching Dawson's Creek when I was younger, and I just was amazed at how quickly these people spoke. And that's what it's like, you know, and you think, I never say these things as quickly in real life. And that's because in TV series, it's all about trying to, you know, create funny situations in a lot of the type of series that people watch. Now, secondly, it can be difficult to understand because when TV series use lots of references, they talk about different types of culture. So again, when I used to watch Friends, when I used to start watching Friends, I found it difficult to understand because they use references from America, words and phrases from America too. You know, cultural things, talking about celebrities in America, talking about Thanksgiving, talking about, you know, the different holidays that they have and different words as well. You know, the vocabulary is different. So TV series can be difficult to understand, but the more that you watch them, the more you'll understand. So especially if you take one TV series and watch, you know, 100 episodes, by episode 100, you'll do really well with this. And this is actually, I'm going to talk about one of the methods that you can use with TV series real soon. Martha says, how true is it that it's better to learn English just listening to native speakers than learning it with grammar? Yeah, and that's what I'm going to talk about actually. You know, when it comes to grammar, I always say explanations help. You know, learning how grammar is used does help, but in able to use it without thinking, you know, without hesitating, then it's important to get all that input and to practice using two methods I'm going to talk about again very soon. Kai says, sorry, Cafe, I have problems with remembering the right pronunciation. Okay, I will talk about that in a second. Is it best exercise to learn English while sleeping with headphones? Yeah, this is quite controversial. Some people say that you can learn English while listening to it while you sleep. I don't know how true that is in terms of scientific studies. Some people say it helps, some people don't. But what I recommend you do, and it's something I do, is take your smartphone or whatever you use and listen to things in bed. I always fall asleep listening to something. It's better than reading, because when you're reading on your smartphone, the screen is it's hard to fall asleep basically after reading something on your screen. It's the light. It sends certain chemicals to your brain to say it's time to be awake. You know, it's like looking outside into a bright light. So I recommend, if you know, this is talking about if you're struggling to sleep, listening to something instead. And that's what I always do. Michael has a great question. Where can I find good examples of using words to words to learn in context? So where can you find examples of words to use in context? The simple answer is this: any sentence that you come across that you find interesting. Okay, so learn grammar through sentences. Learn new words and phrases through sentences. This is going to make a huge difference to your English. And I have something called the sentence method, okay? And I send this method to people who download my free guide. So go to fluency.com/fast to get this free guide. And I talk about the sentence method in there. Now, all this is taking sentences that you find useful. So for example, if you read a sentence that has a new word that's useful. If you read a sentence or listen to a sentence that has a construct, a grammar construct that you find interesting, use that sentence. If you just see examples of using grammar that you think you need more practice with, use that sentence as well. So you might struggle with prepositions. So you can take sentences that have the correct prepositions. When you take these sentences, okay, you enter them into an online flashcard or software that you can use for flashcards. These are digital flashcards, not written flashcards. And then you repeat these sentences by either saying them, writing them down. You can also, listen to them and repeat them. But basically, you're repeating these sentences tomorrow, then 2 days after, 4 days, 8 days, 16 days. So you're learning them in the most efficient way, and you're internalizing the grammar and you're internalizing the new words and phrases. So the sentence method is a really powerful way of doing this. The other method that someone talked about when it comes to pronunciation is to take the audio sentences and listen to them, repeat them, compare the two versions. You listen to them, you repeat them, record them, and then compare them. So you listen to a sentence, you say the sentence, you record it, and you compare the two. And again, you're internalizing the grammar, you're getting lots of input, you're internalizing the words and phrases, and then you can compare your version to the original. So you can become self-aware of the mistakes you make with your pronunciation. Does that make sense? Please just give me a quick yes or no if that makes sense. If you're watching live, just say yes. And if you're watching the replay, say yes, that makes sense. So I want to see those in the comment sections. So I'll just very quickly summarize. 2 very powerful methods. The first one is the sentence method. Take sentences that you need to know, enter them into your flashcard software, and repeat them. The second one is listen to audio, repeat the audio, record the audio, and then compare the two. Got a few yeses. Thank you so much for being so interactive. I'm going to answer some more questions. We have we have Sebastian. Has being a YouTuber changed your life much? Yeah, definitely. YouTube is one of the ways that I can reach English learners and English teachers. And it's helped me build my online teaching business. I do this full time now. Martha says, how is it possible that I've met some people that pledge that they've learned English online without grammar in about 6 months? Is that possible? Definitely. It's definitely possible. You can reach a high level of English, a C1 level, an advanced level of English in a very short period of time. I've seen people do it. I've seen people learn different languages, even harder languages, in very, very short periods of time. However, if you're someone who is busy, if you have children, if you have a job, if you have, lots of hobbies, then it's going to be very difficult to do that, because the fluency equation says it's the methods that you use times by the amount of time you spend using them. Okay, so you need to be able to spend time. When you think about it, when people say I've been learning English for 3 years, that doesn't tell us anything. What we want to know is how many hours they've spent learning English and what methods they've been using. Okay, so that's the most important thing. Joe says, aside from English, what other languages do you speak? I speak good Spanish, and I don't speak any French. I just know a few words and phrases. But I have quite good French pronunciation, considering how much I know of French. Ray says, how to use in the past? I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Could you ask that question again? How can I improve my writing skills and how to practice grammar? So we've been talking about grammar, the 2 methods I've been talking about. Download my free guide to fluency.com/fast and that'll give you more methods on how to learn grammar. When it comes to writing, I talked about this before. Practice is going to help you, but also read a lot. Read a lot of things that you need to write about, but practice as much as you can. Use Grammarly to correct your English and also get feedback from teachers or friends. Manuel says repetition is key. Exactly. It's all about repetition. We talk about grammar and people say certain things in grammar are difficult, irregular verbs, but you can all use to be. Okay, this is an irregular verb, but you can use this without thinking. I'm tired. He's over there. You can conjugate this verb without thinking because you've had the repetition. So repetition is key. Exactly. That's what the sentence method does. Alexandra says, hi, Jack. Great to see you. Good to see you here too. Repetition is key. Say without thinking. Exactly. What's England? Where in England should we visit to improve our English? The location isn't important, really. Wherever you want to go, go to a place where there aren't Portuguese speakers. I think you're from Brazil, so go to a place where you won't find Portuguese speakers. So then you have to use your English every day. A lot of people go to England or go to America and spend their time with people who speak their native language. So try to avoid that if you do go abroad. Jack, I'm preparing for CAE exams, and why it's so difficult to improve from post-intermediate to advanced? Great question. I think the reason is, this is my theory on this. People talk about the intermediate barrier, where they go from beginner to intermediate quickly, but then it's difficult to go to advanced. And I think the reason for this is because most people test English based on grammar through multiple choice. So you'll take a test at a language school and there's too much emphasis placed on grammar rules. And as I said before, you can spend all your time learning grammar rules, but it's very difficult to go from that to be able to speak with confidence, to speak without hesitating. So to be able to be a true intermediate speaker, you have to be able to speak, really well. Your pronunciation has to be good. You have to understand things you listen to. And too much emphasis when people are testing English learners is put on grammar and multiple choice exercises. But also, when you go from intermediate to advanced, you need to be able to talk about any kind of topic, okay, any kind of situation. So when you're taking that C1 level exam, you need to be able to talk about anything, really. And that's what is difficult, because you need to be able to have the vocabulary in order to do that. Hopefully that answers your question. We've got TSG, which types of books are best for reading for fluency? I made a video about this. Read books that you enjoy. Okay, so read books that you enjoy, about topics that you enjoy. Read books that aren't too difficult. Okay, there's something called the input hypothesis, where this is your level. You want to read books that are just above your level so that you can understand it, you can enjoy it, and then you can also learn new words and phrases at the same time. So it's all about finding books that are specific to you. If you're interested in soccer or football, then read books about football. Make it simple. And also read books that you've already read in your native language. That way you'll be able to understand what is going on in the book as well. So hopefully that makes sense for you too. Okay, any other questions? Any other questions? Please leave your questions now. You can see the live chat just to the right of the YouTube channel. If you're watching the replay of this lesson, then please leave questions below and I'll happily answer them for you. And everyone, get this free download, the 7 tips to help you learn English fast, to fluency.com/fast. I want to see a lot of you get this download. It's really going to help you. And a lot of my best things, my best advice is in this book. And you're also going to get the opportunity to download another book too. Let's go back into the chat. Is the TOEFL dictionary good to learn from? I'm not quite sure what this is. But again, you know, don't learn words from lists. Try to get them from context. So when you're listening to a podcast and you hear something that you don't understand, look up that word, take that sentence and repeat it. You're going to learn it over the long term. It's all about that repetition and learning it in context. Okay. Okay, Ray says, how can you use then word in the past? I heard that we can use it for the past. I mean in the sentence. Okay, so you're asking how to use then in the past. Send me a message, jack@tofluency.com, and I'll answer that for you. I just need to find some examples so you can understand my explanation perfectly. Martha says, I live in Florida, been living in the US for almost 10 years and still don't feel confident speaking with native speakers. Okay, we've got a little question mark here. Manuel says, that's why in Florida, most people speak Spanish. Yep, so if you've been in the US for a long time and you still don't feel confident, it could be a couple of things, okay? It might just be that you feel shy and nervous about making mistakes. Okay, you might have a great level of English, but you might be just nervous about making mistakes. And if that's the case, it's good to realize that, to be self-aware, and then to do things to overcome it. Everyone's different, and I'm not an expert on helping people, you know, get lots of confidence about speaking or, you know, overcoming their shyness, for example. But do things. Make sure that you know, be aware of this if that's the case, and get help. You know, ask people what you can do to overcome this. But the other reason might be is because you're not doing the right things to improve your English. Now, if you live in Florida, what I recommend you do, actually, I do have one tip about overcoming your, you know, shyness or your fear of speaking English. And that's to make friends in English with people who you feel comfortable with. So you can get in the habit of speaking English with people, but those who you feel comfortable with. And then once you gain the confidence, you can speak to other people after that. In fact, this is what I recommend for anyone. If you're learning English and you don't feel confident about speaking, then find a teacher or a friend who you can speak with in a one-to-one situation. Someone who makes you feel comfortable, you know, someone who's going to help you. Then you can then you realize it's great to speak in English, and it's okay if you make mistakes. People don't care about mistakes. You want to limit these and overcome your mistakes, but on the whole, people don't care about it. Now, a tip for those living in English-speaking countries: join groups. You know, join groups of people who do activities that you like doing. My biggest regret of when I lived in Spain is that I didn't join a soccer team or a football team in Spain. You know, I didn't join a team, and I should have joined a team. That's my biggest regret, because I would have made friends. I would have used my Spanish a lot more. And yeah, it's just a great experience to do that. Cafe says, how can I test my English level? I have a level test, okay? I have a test where you'll be able to analyze your own level of English. So just type in, search in my videos for level test, and you'll be able to find that. And Manish says, where can I find native speakers for speaking practice? My best advice here is to make friends, okay? People always want something in return. Whether this is friendship, it might be a language exchange where you speak in your native language. Okay, you find an English speaker who wants to learn your language, and you speak 30 minutes in Spanish and 30 minutes in English. Okay, that's another thing that you can give someone. And then finally, the other thing here is to, it's going to come back to me. Yeah, you might have to get a language teacher, you know, pay for lessons. So that's something else that you might have to do. People want something in exchange, whether it's friendship, a language exchange, or money for lessons. That's how you're going to find speaking practice. If there are English speakers where you live, go out, be friendly, you know, show people around. There are lots of different ways to get speaking practice as well. And I have a program that goes through this in depth. But for right now, everybody, I'm going to end this live lesson there. Thank you, those who join live. If you watch the replay, thank you for being here as well. There's a link right here, I think it is, to fluency.com/fast. This is where you can download your free guide. Okay, 7 tips to help you learn English fast. Tip 1, we've talked about today, the methods that you can use, talking about the sentence method, how to mimic native speakers, that we need lots of repetition, that we need to take control of our learning and be responsible for our level, and also to get lots of repetition, you know, learn things in context and get that repetition that we need so that we internalize grammar, internalize new words and phrases, and then we'll be able to use them. So guys, please share this video with your friends, share it on Facebook, give it the thumbs up on YouTube, share it on Google+, on Twitter, VK, whatever you use. Please share this with your friends. Then get your free download to fluency.com/fast. So guys, thank you for being here, and I'll be back again soon.